Now, you haven't always been in oil and gas. Ken, what made you choose this path?
I started out in sales with Southwestern Bell, went to capital leasing with EDS, and didn't know anything about the oil business, but was approached about raising money for oil and gas deals with a broker-dealer. And so that's how I got my first exposure to it, was in raising capital. Although I didn't know anything about the oil business, it became apparent that really the people I was working for didn't know a lot about it either. So what I sought to do with going out on my own was to try to find a way to control the quality and cost of this multifaceted process in the field that involved generating the prospect all the way through to drilling, production, and operating. And preferably, if you're generating prospects, you've got a seismic capacity. So that's why La Mesa started as a seismic company, operating company, and an exploration company under one holding.
Tell us about some milestones in your career.
Well, not so much milestones as a process of learning relative to all the various facets of the business, which are extensive as far as the geological and the operating side of it, the financial, capital formation, as well as handling revenues, etc. All of these things contribute to an overall project, and that learning curve has been a long one in trying to determine the best way to perform in each of those functions.
Share with us some of the past ventures that you've had in this industry.
Well, the fact that we had 3 different companies under one holding, and I say 3 different companies because they are each different in their respective ways. A seismic company, of course, you're using that for prospect generation, but that's in the service sector. The operating side of it is totally different in that you're trying to operate the production in the wells, and then the exploration is identifying the prospects and trying to find the best ones for development.
What is it about Buccaneer Resources that has got you interested, that's just made you jump right into it?
Well, when I first met with Curtis Burton, basically he was talking about the same thing in what he did with Tops in the mid-90s, in that there was a assemblage of resources, capital, rig, and other things that would come together to make the project work. In the same way that in La Mesa I was trying to assemble all of these pieces, he had done that quite successfully, but what he was talking about was on a much grander scale relative to being able to take these resources and pursue much larger prospects.
Well, Ken, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. Clint Wainwright serves as Executive Vice President of Operation and Business Development at Buccaneer Resources. In your words, what is it about the business that gets you so excited?
Well, it's success. The working through all the technical aspects of developing and proving a prospect, and then getting it to the stage where you actually find what you predicted would be there. That's the real excitement in the business.
How does that experience translate to Barron Petroleum, Millennium, and Anna, Texas?
Well, Barron Petroleum was the first company that I started to invest in the oil and gas business, and it's still the company that I own all my personal mineral interest in. Millennium Explorer is a partnership between Barron Petroleum and Streamline Exploration Incorporated, owned by Jeffrey Sporl, who is my geophysicist partner. And Jeff is a tremendous seismic interpreter and prospect generator and evaluation expert. Anna, Texas is an operating company that I formed because I realized that another very important aspect of the success for my investors is to have the properties operated efficiently with integrity to maximize the investor's return. And therefore, with the investors yielding that extra benefit of return, I felt that they would also want to come back and invest with me again.
You've recently teamed up with Buccaneer Resources. What was it that attracted you to this team?
Well, it's a number of things. First, in working with them through the evaluation and their purchase and my sale of Pompano Prospect to them, I appreciated their positive, can-do attitude towards business. And it's also supported by their strategy to have all the services and supplies and suppliers and capital readily put together so they can move quickly on the opportunities. And I could see in my work with them a strong level of commitment with integrity. And these two qualities are very important to me. So with having a Millennium Explorer with a inventory of 15 prospects, we decided that this was the type of company that we wanted drilling our prospects. We jointly recognized that I had some strengths in operations and in reserve estimation that could fit with their management team. And that developed into a situation where we felt like the addition of Millennium Explorer with its prospect inventory and a Texas with its operations and Buccaneer with its strategies and preparation to be successful would, in summation, be a very strong entity.
I'm joined by Dr. Jerry Bailey, Vice President of Operations for Buccaneer. Jerry, thanks for being with us today. What made you choose this industry?
Well, I'm a native Houstonian. I guess I grew up around the oil industry. I had a relative an uncle who was also in the oil industry, and I guess it's always been something attractive to me. So it's an exciting, challenging venture, a vocation, and an occupation that has always got new surprises around the bend. So I like it.
How did that passion carry you through the ranks of ExxonMobil?
I guess a lot of it was being in the right places at the right time and working hard, because I've done all the things that you might ever be involved in from one end of the oil business to the other. I started out in research. I've done all kinds of exploration work, drilling, refining, and I just worked hard, and I guess, as I say, maybe what I was doing was making some impact and got noticed.
What are some of the biggest roadblocks facing an independent building a production base? Is it more political or economic?
No, I think it's for an independent to actually get into the business and really do well, it's more economic and it's more reputation. There are so many independent companies that are out there that are looking to do well, obviously, but the key is ending up with people who've had enough experience, who know what they're doing, and being able then to attract investors and backers who are willing to take the risks that come along with it. There's so many that try and they never successfully make it. But I think politics is not, in my view, a particular problem in that instance.
If not politics, then where do you see all this heading?
Oh, I would certainly could tell you a lot of tales, but I think the interesting thing is the oil business and the gas business is still a very viable and very necessary operation, both domestically and internationally. Many people are concerned about the cost of things and what we're trying to do and how we're able to keep up the available reserves for people in the world with all the growing economies, especially in the Asian region with India and China. Oil and gas are going to be around for a long time. And when I say a long time, we're talking about into the middle of this century.
What attracted you to Buccaneer Resources?
Well, as I say, the reason I got into Buccaneer is because they seem to be the type of a group of people who have all been there and done that before. We're not a very small startup group with people who have great ambitions. As I say, I'm coming from a role where I ran a whole region for Exxon, from Iraq and Iran all the way down to Oman. So this is quite a change. But all those things I learned about how to run a company, to find oil, and most importantly, how to get it out of the oil ground for oil and gas, that will help me to contribute to what's going on in Buccaneer at this time.